Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com, and it's time for your post-Impact Wrestling show. It is July 14th. Buddy, I am here for it. This show flew by, and I'm excited to talk about it. As always, I have my favorite, my friend, my ride or die. You know who I'm talking about. Cresta, how you doing?
I'm choking, apparently. Woo, okay, that spit tried to take me out.
That was wild. Let's do that again. You want to try that again? You want to take another shot at it?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I almost died just there. Impact did fly by tonight. I was like, whoa, it's 9:45 already. What up? But Impact tonight was good. How are you? How was everything? I see you're here. Didn't you like beat up Sean Ross Sapp? I feel like you cut a promo on him last week and you're still the champion.
Not only did I beat up Sean Ross Sapp, not only am I still the champion, you'll see. How about the you'll see. Everything will play out as it should. But I will say this. Josh Alexander, you let me down. If you haven't watched it yet, go to youtube.com/Fightful. Sean interviewed Josh Alexander. They got a scooter race, as I said they would. And the outcome, well, it is what it is. He also interviewed Jordan Grace. That interview is a banger. Go check it out. And if you are an AEW fan, you can check out the Grapsity guys. They interviewed Mickie Ruckus. And that interview dropped today on youtube.com/Fightful. Really good stuff. As a music guy, as a musician myself, I love it when I get to hear people talk about music and about wrestling music. So the Mickie Ruckus, whenever Mickie speaks, there's some really good stuff that comes from it. So go check that out. Cresta, we talked about it. We just touched on it. The show flew by. That's it. No more center stage in Atlanta. Just a quick 2-shot. They're going to be in Kentucky tomorrow and the next day. Someone in the chat's asking if they're taped instead of live. They are taping, but the best part about Impact, and we talk about this every few weeks, is the fact that when Impact tapes their matches live, they do a ton of really good backstage stuff that nobody sees until it makes the air on TV. So that, to me, is a really good hook for Impact, especially when we talk about it, because people can say this match is great, but the backstage stuff tends to also, expand on the story.
Yes, I agree. No, I'm looking in the camera and it just reminded me of tonight, the backstage segment, because it's funny you bring it up with Havoc and Rosemary and Taya. I'm like, he's right, because at first I was like, mama, this is garbage, but as it went on I was like, actually, this is great.
And someone in the chat's bringing it up. Didn't the Undead Realm used to look like a backstage Impact, like just the backstage area? It did. They got an upgrade this week. And when we talk about the amazing Undead Realm, come on, y'all. I know you loved it. Don't lie to me. It was a great segment. If you really put your mind to it. Undead Realm, Wrestle House, and Swinger. Those are the 3 things. That's all you need for Impact Wrestling. None of the other stuff. You don't need the wrestling. What are you talking about? You don't need no Josh Alexander. You don't need no
Impact, no wrestling.
That's right. That's all you need. So either way, it was a fun show. It really did fly by. By the time I looked up, it was the main event, and I saw Heath take out Vincent. We're going to get into that as well. And of course, the Honor No More stuff. It's turned the tides a little bit. I don't know how you feel, but the Honor No More story seems to be moving forward a little bit differently, and it doesn't seem as rudderless as before. What a difference a week makes. So let's dig into it. But first, hello to the chat. How you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. I see you all there. If you're here and you want to support us here at Fightful, you can go ahead, donate a super chat. It's that little $sign at the bottom of the screen here at youtube.com/Fightful. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air, and it supports us here because we are completely self-sufficient and self-funded. And we got the Humper Chat. Cresta, tell them what that is.
You can head over to humperchats.com, and just like with the super chats here, you can donate any amount and we'll read them live on air. We keep just a little bit more of that portion, so please give us your Humper Chats, give us your super chats. We love to engage with you guys, and we love to talk to you about professional wrestling, specifically Impact Wrestling.
I love it. All right, let's dig into it. The match of the night, the whole reason we're here, the absolute heights of all wrestling matches ever, Cresta, did you see Swingman versus Bhupinder Gujjar on BTI?
So I did not, but I was treated to the mid show where they showed the ending. Honestly, I'm gonna say some controversial things. Not true things, but controversial things. Better than FTR versus the Briscoes, better than the Young Bucks, better than Josh Alexander, Johnny Swinger. I'm a believer. I was a hater, but I was just a confused fan. The swing man for president, but he lost. Like I said, I'm gonna say some controversial statements, not true statements.
It's true. It's true. You got it. Swinger is the perfect wrestler. I don't care what you say. And you know what? I went so far as to tag him on social media, which I don't do with wrestlers. I do not tag them. If I interview them, if I have a reason to give them promotion, then I will. Johnny Swinger, I tagged him and I said he is the perfect wrestler. And I look forward to his retort because it's true. I did like in the match, Zicky Dice gets involved a whole bunch. At least get y'all going. And I'll point this out because you didn't see the match. Matt Raywalt on commentary with Tom Hannafin. He asked, "Are you following Johnny Swinger?" Because this is all about the digital media championship. He says, "Are you following Swinger on Instagram? Are you following him on Twitter? Are you following him on Twitch?" Says his YouTube, his OnlyFans, his brand army. And I'm sitting there like, I'm sorry, there might be a Johnny Swinger OnlyFans coming.
Can you imagine? It's just him dancing inside of that little ring, like and maybe hand fisting nuggies.
Yes. By the way, he goes balls deep for a headbutt, and I appreciate that. Does Swinger. Either way, Bhupinder Gujjar gets the win, and that's going to play into later when we talk about him and Brian Myers having a little chat. But Bhupinder Gujjar, I have to put him over because every week I see something cool come from him. He had a little bit of a good break in offense where he does the sling blade, and then he does the ripcord knee and does a super kick all in succession. Really good stuff. And then his power slam into the gargoyle spear. I love that finish. It's meant for him. It's easy. It's simple. Gujjar gets the win. He defeats Swingman. I'm sad. But a good match. Go ahead and watch it.
I will go ahead and say that I cannot wait for the eventual Gujjar push because that's going to be really good and quite interesting for, let's see if my memory serves me correct. I think he did battle versus Mike Bailey and Mike Bailey won. And I would love to see them run it back once Gujjar gets more wins under his belt. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, and you know what? As they continue to build Bhupinder Gujjar, I think there's a lot of emphasis on having him become not only a mainstay in Impact, but also a big crossover star because he has the look, he has the experience, he speaks very good English. So if there was a time when when Impact would go to India because they had a big Sony 6 TV deal with the Indian market, and for Bhupinder Gujjar to possibly be the person to bridge that gap again, that would be really good for him. But we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to speak for the Indian market because I don't know what that looks like with Impact. But either way, good wrestler, does entertain the hell out of me, and he's Canadian, so I can't say a bad thing about him.
I keep forgetting you're Canadian. I keep forgetting that.
That's right. All right. Let's open up Impact. Violent by Design versus Josh Alexander and the Motor City Machine Guns. However, as the show opens, Eric Young is nowhere to be found. Doring and Diener are waiting in the go position. They're waiting to go to the ring, and they're just looking at each other. And Diener's looking at Doring, and Diener's saying, maybe it's a test. Who knows? Where is he? We haven't seen him all day. I really, really love how they shot this. They shot it from the backstage, from behind from behind the curtain, going to the front of the house where they would come out to do the entrance. I thought it was really good doing the backstage shooting and then going out into the ring. It was really good stuff. Yeah, just the whole thing was shot well. Eric Young eventually comes out. He comes out solo. The whole idea being it's his world and everyone else lives in it. And of course, Motor City Machine Guns and Josh Alexander come out. The match starts. We can talk about the match. Is there anything you want to add before we get into the whole meat and potatoes?
Okay, so first and foremost, I want to highlight that tonight, maybe I feel like Eric Young has been wearing this yellow gear forever, but tonight that gear looked amazing. The boots, the pants, everything was really good. So shout out to Eric Young on that. And number two, Eric Young is so phenomenal. No matter what promotion you know him from, he's really good. Like you said, him not coming out with them at first was like, okay, maybe it's going to be a handicap, but I don't think. And then when he actually did come out, it was, I'm disinterested. I don't want to wrestle, but I'm actually interested. I'm actually going to wrestle. So it's really good psychological ring awareness, whatever you want to call it. It's really great. And I freaking love it. I love it. Violent by Design in there was really, really good. But Impact, the theme of Impact is themes. And tonight's theme was post and pre-match shenanigans. So the match itself, amazing, 10 out of 10. I mean, no. I liked it. It was hard-hitting. It was stiff. It's just that after the match, that's when it's like, okay.
Yep. There's some really good stuff that happens after the match. Inside the match, there are little things that I love. I mean, I've said this before. Joe Doring does this scoop slam and then hits the rope and an elbow drop. It's so simple, but it just looks gnarly for a guy that big to do something like that. Like, it's not even about the size. It's just the way he like limbers around in the ring, and he makes himself look heavy when he does stuff like that. I like that. There's a really cool low crossbody that Doring hits on Josh Alexander. The camera angle catches it perfectly. They're just down low enough that he just, it comes into your home, as the old saying would go. I really like that. Finish was very simple. Not exactly. Shelley taps out Diener as is tradition. Alex Shelley taps out Diener with the Border City stretch, while Josh Alexander has Eric Young in the Grapevine ankle lock. And then Chris Sabin gets in the ring after the match is over, and he hands the Impact World title to Josh Alexander, but holds on to it for just a quick extra second. And maybe we're going to get a little bit more of that, and we're going to find out where that goes. But I do love that this was the blow-off. For all intents and purposes, this was the blow-off to Violent by Design and Josh Alexander, and this was the best way to do it. You had a definitive finish in that Violent by Design not only lost, but you had Eric Young and Josh Alexander in the ring. Eric Young did tap out after the bell, so at least there was some closure there. And just the end of Violent by Design and Josh Alexander's story, it went on long enough, and I don't think it overstayed its welcome.
I actually don't agree. It's funny we just talk about agreeing too much. I actually don't agree. I thought it was interesting that Cody Diener tapped out first before Eric Young. And even if they don't take it out on Josh Alexander, Violent by Design, I think this is the beginning of them beginning to eat themselves, which kind of sucks because I do like them together. But at some point, you got to, freshen up, move on. And Cody Diener might be doing more things on his own, because I feel like out of everyone in this group, Doring is a star already, and so is Eric Young. But Cody Diener really has stepped up and stepped out, if you will, in this role. So I think that Eric Young might be mad and maybe misplace his anger on Josh Alexander to the point where Josh Alexander's like, yo, enough is enough. Maybe there might be an emergence. Kind of, hopefully not, but maybe. But if it does happen, I'm like, okay, that'll definitely be the blow off. There's no more chances. You literally had chance after chance after chance. Everyone in your crew has had chances. So I'm interested to see where it goes, because I think the double tap doesn't say that it's like, I don't think it's over. I think it's like, one more last rat chance.
Once upon a time, you and I were chatting, and I don't know if you remember who it was, but we were talking about who else could join Violent by Design who's on the current roster. And you had a name. I don't remember who it was, but we talked about that name being too close to the style of wrestling that Diener does. I don't know if you remember who it was. It may have been Kenny King. It may have been Chris Bay. I know we talked about those two at one point. Either way, if this is the way to get rid of Diener from Violent by Design, this is a great way to expand them with a new third member, because Diener later on, as we find out, is going to challenge for the X Division Championship. He probably loses, because let's face it, Speedball's brand new into his X Division Championship run. So there's an opportunity there to place more blame on Diener losing all the time and costing Violent by Design any credibility. Exactly. So what do? You kick him out, and you have somebody else join. But who is it going to be?
PCO.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. PCO is the other. No, now we're just doing giants. You know who you do? Killer Kelly. But we'll get to Killer Kelly in a minute. Killer Kelly and Violent by Design, though. Let's just think about that.
I don't know anything about Killer Kelly, but the name is like Killer Kelly, Masha Slamovic. But I don't know. Masha Slamovic is a monster, bro. I don't know.
So is Killer Kelly once you get to know her. So you'll see. Speaking of Killer Kelly, they do the segment with her. This is the second. It seems like this is going to be a bunch of segments put together. The last one we saw, she was about to get into the shower. So this one, it opens up. She's in the shower. She's getting dressed, having a drink. Says she's ready to prepare. That she's ready now. And then she is in this hotel that she's been staying at. She checks the peephole and sees a couple, and says, "This will be fun." I don't know what they're trying to say here. Is she an assassin? Is she a Black Widow threesome? Like, what is going on here?
I got Jason Voorhees. This is like the one storyline I remember from back in the day, so don't stone me. It's giving Killer Cross, like Carrying Cross. When he used to lurk in the don't curse. He used to lurk in the back. And I think Scarlett was torturing Johnny Swinger for a while, and he would just show up and beat up Eddie Edwards. That's what it's giving. I mean, I like that. Senseless violence in wrestling. Come on now. You can't beat it. So I was getting like, she's a backstage strangler. So if we see Lish just in the corner, like, we just know who did it.
Well, that's the thing. If she's going to Black Widow people, then she's got to go after Lish and Edward Edwards and watch them just like deteriorate as a couple as Killer Kelly steps in and takes over Eddie Edwards. People are saying an assassin vibe. I get that. Like, it might just be that, but it was very clearly a man and a woman going into another room, and maybe she was going on someone else's behalf to check on them. It's just, it's very strange. I'm looking forward to it because this is actually, it's shot well and it's interesting, and clearly we're talking about it. But I'm just wondering, like, what are we doing with Killer Kelly to introduce her back into Impact?
I don't know anything about Killer Kelly, so I'm going into with fresh eyes. Like I said, I got the Carrying Cross vibes from before, so I'm interested to see how it is. And even if she is an assassin, who are you going to assassinate? It's gotta be Masha, who's just going around being an unleashed kaiju, quite literally, on the women's division. So it's like, you assassinate Jordynne Grace? I don't think you need an assassin for Jordynne Grace. She's good, but she can be beaten. Masha Slamovic is being a terror right now.
So I like that you bring up that you're new to Killer Kelly. And that's totally fine, because Killer Kelly is new to a lot of people watching Impact. They saw her for a short amount of time until the pandemic hit. And then we talked about this last week. Killer Kelly was in and out of Impact due to visa and pandemic issues. But regardless, with Killer Kelly, whatever they're doing with her, this is brand new for her too.
Okay.
So for you to feel like, this is an introduction for her to you, this is an introduction, a reintroduction for this character. So nobody knows what's going on, which is great. I know there's nothing I can pull from watching her old matches that makes this feel like a Killer Kelly that I've seen before.
Okay. So I love a good reinvention. Like Eddie Edwards is always doing it every other week. So I love it. Yeah.
Again, there were several years where I'm sitting there saying, he's not the heart and soul of anything. He's the heart and soul of me wanting to get the hell out of here. Anyway.
Eddie Edwards versus Oni Lorcan. Book it, Scott.
I'm actually not against that. I would love to see that. Steve Macklin versus James Storm was another match that I really wanted to see, and we got to see it. I thought that this match was going to steal the show. I was wrong, by the way. And we're going to talk about the match that I did feel stole the show. It wasn't this one. I enjoyed this one because it was just a good old brawl. You know what I mean? It was a very James Storm cowboy brawl, and Macklin was up to the task because he's good at that too. The upside down spear that Macklin does is great. It's just they call it caught in the crosshairs. It's just a great move. It's so simple and it's good stuff. Finishes, Macklin rips off turnbuckle. Storm runs into that corner with the exposed turnbuckle. Roll up, sends Storm, like I said, into the turnbuckle, and then Macklin hits a double underhook DDT, pins Storm. Good story driven match. Now here's what I don't like, Cresta. Storm wants Moose. James Storm wants Moose. This loss, even if he hit the exposed turnbuckle, it makes not Lance Storm. Sorry, Lance Storm is a producer in Impact.
I know who you mean. I do that all the time.
Normally, my notes have full names. James Storm looks weaker, in my opinion, for having taken a loss, regardless of how he took it. When Steve Macklin was the underboss, and Moose is the guy that he wants. Very strange. And then, of course, the post-match lights off, lights on. Sami Callihan's in the ring, Macklin's on the ramp. They look down at each other, and that's still a thing that they have to do. Tell me what you thought of the Macklin Storm match. Tell me what you thought about all the stuff that comes afterwards.
I'm like chaos when it comes to Impact. So I wanted Macklin to win. I like James Storm, but I thought it was too soon for Macklin to win. However, I thought Moose was going to interfere. So it would be, I guess you could say, a lame finish, but it would make sense. Moose interfered. Macklin had his back in the match with Sami Callihan. And then, okay, Sami Callihan comes out. That made sense. I did not like the finish. The exposed turnbuckle, like you said, into the double. It was kind of like, you could have, I don't want James Storm to lose. I don't think that was the most effective way for him to do so. And I'm like, it took a turnbuckle after the match itself was good. The post-match was great because you see the lights go off and it's like, okay, Sami Callihan or Moose or someone's coming out. And then you got into the ring and Sami Callihan is there and Macklin's on the ramp like, too slow, not today. And I always love that spot because when you know someone like Sami Callihan is coming with an object, this time he had, I think, a barbed wire bat. I'm not staying in that ring. You're crazy. Honestly, Scott D'Amore should fire you. You're an OSHA violation. You're every violation. So I loved it, the post. But that finish, I feel like there was a better way to do that.
I think the finish works better if they run the match back.
Okay.
That's maybe the only way you do it. But Impact doesn't always do that. So for me, the finish, it felt a little flat. It was a way for them to get off the idea that Macklin will do anything to win, which he has shown to do and shown to be that way. James Storm got tricked, but it didn't look so. He didn't hit his head in a way that looked so impactful.
Yeah,
no pun intended. So the finish, the finish felt a little flat. And then of course they kind of saved it with the Sami in the ring, and then Macklin's on the ramp, and like you said, it was just not today, and that was it. I'm just, I thought a really good match was just kind of put down a peg a little bit by the finish.
I think it was just out of his reach. Like, it was right there, but the way you ended is like, oh, you dropped at the finish line.
And I can see people making maybe the assertion that, the match was very even between Macklin and Storm. It started off that Macklin absolutely had the upper hand and was taking down James Storm, and then eventually Storm kind of started to best him. He was the veteran, yada yada yada, and then Macklin had to use an underhanded tactic to win. I can see that as like the psychology of the match, but at the end of it, for the what's next, which I plead audiences to think about. The what's next is what was missing for me, and the what's next between Storm and Moose, or Macklin and Storm, or Storm and Sami, whatever combination of those four that you pick, what's next?
A tag team match, player.
I'm not against that. Honestly, I would be okay if they did Sami and Storm versus Macklin and Moose at Emergence. I wouldn't be against that at all.
I wouldn't be against that either. That's the type of match I'm going to watch, turn my brain off, and enjoy the chaos, because that's going to be a good match. So that's not even on my radar of things to complain about. It's going to be a good match. I'm just ready for the chaos. And who's going to blade first? And if James Storm's going to be like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Nah, no thanks. But Moose wasn't on last week's show either, was he? I'm trying to remember. Was Moose on last week's episode of Impact? Hold on, I'm bringing up my notes.
For this.
I'm bringing up my notes.
I feel like I'm in school. Turn back to page 4.
Right? No, Moose is in the locker room. That's it. So Moose wasn't even at these tapings. So
he
that's
has better things to do.
Well, no. So that actually, okay. So maybe it makes a little sense. They're kind of buying some time until Moose is back in the fold. So I think maybe just Moose wasn't at the tapings, and therefore they had to stretch things out by using James Storm and doing the Macklin match. So, okay, fine. Maybe not so bad. I'm all good for that. You know what? Let's go. The first Flair moment. They showed that. And they had to show Ric Flair and they had to show Hulk Hogan. So clearly we don't need to talk about that shit ever again. Backstage, Scott D'Amore is confronted by Motor City Machine Guns. And Chris Sabin says he wants title shots. Sabin reminds Scott that he's the one who pushed option C for Josh Alexander when he won his first Impact Championship. And Scott says, well, you're right. And Impact's about opportunities. And he says that Shelley got the win tonight in the 6-man, which is true. And I like this bit of storytelling. Shelley versus Sabin next week, #1 contender. And both men are excited. I'm also excited. That'll be a killer match. Thoughts on a backstager with those two?
I love it. I think it's great because very rarely do you see tag teams go against each other and the other one's like, yeah, let's beat each other's ass. So I love it. I think they're both great wrestlers. I think I've seen them wrestle once before. The guy and not Shelley. No, it was Shelley. Shelley said, yeah, let's run it back. So absolutely. I mean, again, when it comes to Impact, I don't ever worry about the wrestling. You have to like really be far off in another planet for the wrestling to be bad now. So I think that's going to be good. I don't think there's going to be a DQ. I think we're just going to get a solid, good match. I hope Sabin picks it up. I do like Shelley, but I don't think either one of them are going to beat Alexander. But I know that match is going to be good.
Yeah, and I agree. And I like this. Is normally if this were, let's say, WWE, for example, and the authority figure says the tag teams they're gonna have a match against one another, they would both look at each other and just like in disbelief, like, oh, what is this? I hate this. I like that both men, Shelley and Sabin, have had enough of a career as singles wrestlers and as a tag team that they respect each other enough to fight for a championship. That this is what they're going for. There's no hard feelings. No one's gonna be looking bad for a loss. This works for me and it looks good. And they fought each other before, like you said. So this made sense. It looked good. So I'm excited for that. And that's going to happen next week. We'll run down next week's card later in the show. Now let's get to, and I'm not alone in this apparently, because Jesus Garcia sends us a super chat. Thank you. Very generous one, saying, showing some love for Team Joe Starr. The Mickie versus Chelsea match was my match of the night. I'll break in here. It was mine too. Heel Chelsea is so much more interesting than babyface Chelsea. Curious to see what they do with her and what's next for Mickie James. So yes, I agree. This ended up being my match of the night, which I did not expect. I went into this saying this is going to be a good match. I knew the outcome, but I didn't know any of what happened. This match was really good, Cresta.
Chelsea Green is such a good wrestler, and I cannot say that again. Chelsea Green is such a good wrestler, and I was watching Impact with some friends of mine, and one of my friends said, oh, she looks like Britt Baker. I'm like, she don't wrestle like Britt Baker. This girl got pushed off a ladder like 2-3 weeks ago and showed up to work like the next day. Like, what's up? Chelsea Green is such a good wrestler. And so is Mickie James. The only thing I hated about that match, don't at me, was Mickie James' gear. And that's it. That was it. Everything about that match was so good.
So you know what? I'm going to tell you know what I liked about it? The reason I actually liked Mickey's gear this time is because it was a throwback. It was her WWE style gear with the skirt and the top style. But they leaned into it with the opening because they did the give her a kiss. Like Chelsea kissed her and then Mickie kissed her back. And that was from the Trish Stratus and Mickie James angle. That was at WWE.
Where that was from. All I was thinking is like, what in the HLA is this?
Yeah, so that's what it was. So once upon a time in WWE, when Mickie James debuted, she was stalking Trish Stratus and was like in love with her. Mickie was like Trish Stratus's biggest fan, and it culminated in a match at WrestleMania 22 between Stratus and James. That was the kiss was part of like an ongoing segment that happened between Stratus and Mickie. So they brought that back for this match, and it was really, really good in my opinion. It was just a little thing. Yes. They go at it. These two women absolutely just went for it. Like the seated senton to the outside from James, it looked great. And it's really funny because as she went for it, she like grabbed the top of Chelsea Green's head to like push her down with the momentum. It was good. There was some really good stuff. When Chelsea's in control of the match, she like opens the ropes for Mickie James and says, get the hell out of my ring. So what does Mickie do? Just beats the shit out of her outside the ring on the ramp. I like that stuff. It was
all up in the Triton. So good.
It was really good. So we'll get to it was just back and forth. There was the Mick kick. Chelsea gets the rope, breaks the count at 2.9, which I liked. It was a really good little thing to make Chelsea look strong. And then they do this really cool spot towards the finish where Green kicks Mickey's leg while she's down. Mickie falls onto Chelsea Green's bent knee. And it looked really smart because then they go into the stomp, which looks okay, whatever, it's fine. And then the ref somehow catches a handful of tights that Chelsea Green is grabbing on Mickie James, but he's clearly not able to see it. Like he's here and the pin is here, like it's across the ring. It was very strange. Did not like that. We'll get into why in a second. Mick kick again. Green rolls up Mickie with her feet on the ropes. This time the referee doesn't see it, so Chelsea Green gets the win with her feet on the ropes.
That's why I didn't like it either. So I'm like, if you can see the handful of tights, you can. Chelsea is a long woman. The legs go up to the collarbones. But you can see what's happening here.
Okay. I have never liked the stupid referee trope.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was just a bad placement of the referee. Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't bug me as much. That's a referee out of position. Okay, cool. Fine. Later on in the main event, I'm going to get into something that really bugs the shit out of me when it comes to tag matches.
Okay.
And that one really did me in. But for this, feet on the ropes, she's a heel. You just go. That's it. Referee doesn't see it. So that's fine. And that was after a whole bunch of her trying to cheat.
Yeah.
So I guess that's okay. It was just that one. No one's going to remember it. Just a handful of tights being completely away from his vision. That didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that completely.
Let's go. Undead Realm, my favorite. For those of you calling me a professor in this chat, thank you. The Undead Realm is absolutely where I bring my students. Ty is late. She wants to blend in and look good. I love it. Ty is just oblivious to the whole thing. Yet she is the one who makes the discovery. And we'll get to what that is. Rosemary's like, you're not ready. And she's like, you're gonna be screwing us over. We're gonna get lost in the Undead Realm, whatever. So they go to the Undead Realm, and it's a lot more, how do I put this nicely? Cresta, it's a lot more green screen. So you're newer.
I thought the same thing.
So Cresta, you're newer to the Undead Realm. I know you're also newer to Impact Wrestling. What's your opinion on the Undead Realm this time around, maybe versus other times if you've seen it, when it looked like it was just the backstage of the studio?
I have seen it when it was the backstage of the studio and when they did a Wrestler House. So my expectations were in the dirt. They were in the ground. But I was like, okay. My first thought was like, what in the B film movie is this? And my first thought was like, Taya Valkyrie is going to walk into the light and shenanigans is going to ensue after she told her not to walk into the light. She walks into the light and it's not that bad. And once Taya introduced Havoc as Jessica, I was like, this is the Addams Family when Wednesday started smiling. I'm here for this. Wait a minute. I'm on board. I'm on board because imagine if Jessica now is like, hi, I'm Jessica. Like, hi, I'm Susie. Who was that? Rosemary.
That was Sue Young.
Rosemary.
That was Sue Young.
Yes. I'm like, okay, I could be with that. And then she just like goes berserk in the ring. I love it. I'm on board. Now I'm on board. In that moment, I felt myself questioning too much. And I'm like, maybe turn your brain off. Like wrestling. And that's what I did. And now I can't wait to see how this turns out. Because Jessica having smiling like that, I was like, oh, that's kind of creepy. But yes.
The smile was creepy as hell, and I loved it. When they introduced her as Jessica, so Sue Young became Susie, like you said, and then she also becomes Susan later on, which is another hilarious character that Sue Young portrayed. I really wanted it to be that Jessica she's Jessie and she does the Susie thing, and then later on becomes Jessica, which is the Susan version of the character. But then it would be a little too on the nose. It would be a little too much like the Sue Young character. Either way, we talked about this for weeks. How do you reintroduce Jessica? How do you reintroduce Havoc? Because right now the story is Rosemary and Taya are the Knockouts tag champs. And it should be Havoc because she's the member of Decay. How do you bring them in? And now it's going to be this weird, like they threw it into a drum, to a giant blender. Yeah. I really want to see what happens next. I think it's stupid as hell, but I think it's hilarious too. Go ahead, please.
I like this idea. Like you said, how do we introduce Havoc? Gimmick change. And when Havoc remembers the eventual Havoc versus Taya Valkyrie, which I want to see. I don't care. I'm the winner. I want to see that eventually. So I think this is cute. I don't think it would be too on the nose because Impact on the nose, no way. Not never. I think it'd be funny for Impact to reference Impact, have her be Jessie and then Jessica, because that's really funny. I'd be thoroughly sports entertained with that.
Oh man, well we'll see where it goes. Either way, this was absolutely painless. I know people hate the Undead Realm, but I'm sitting here being like, Wrestle House is only a few months away.
Oh
It's
my
almost
god.
Thanksgiving. When we get to American Thanksgiving, that's when we do Wrestle House, and that's my favorite every time. Let's go back to my favorite match from earlier in the night: Rupinder Gujjar and Swingman. So we're backstage. Brian Myers confronted by Bhupinder Gujjar, says, "Hey, I beat Swinger. Do I get my title shot?" And Brian Myers is like, "That's not what I meant. I said we'd figure this out." And then he tells Gujjar to get a blue check mark. Earlier this week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, Brian Myers on Twitter got his blue check mark and like boasted about it. Bhupinder Gujjar does not yet have his blue check mark. If they actually play this into a storyline where Gujjar gets a blue check mark in like the next week and he says, "Can I have my match now?" I will absolutely love it.
Twitter, I'm so sorry, I have something in my eye. Twitter, you should totally verify him and watch Brian Myers move the goalpost and say, on Twitter, I meant on Instagram. You get it on Instagram? I meant on TikTok. You get it? I meant on Twitch. And he's like, all right. It'd be nice to know if Twitter was in on the work. I don't know. But that would be funny. Imagine if he does get, I've been trying to get verified for so long.
This is the problem of living in any major city. Part of the Twitter blue checkmark thing and the verified is that you have to, like, there's so many hoops to jump through. One of them is that, like, you have to be, your followers, you have to be like the top user in your city or something like that, or one of the top percentage. Either way, if you live in a major urban city like I do, probably doesn't happen unless you know somebody.
So or you're like an actor or a dancer, or you make your name on another platform, and Twitter's like, "What you doing on it?"
Yeah. Or you can be like Sean Ross Sapp, be from a town of 200 people, and then you get it because you're the only person who's there and using Twitter.
That's mean, but also kind of funny.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you try and fight me for my Fightful Championship, #forever champion. Brian Myers probably going to keep his championship as well, his digital media championship. Brian Myers, you and I, let's talk about it sometime. How about that? Tenille, Masha Slamovic, we don't even have to talk about that match because it went in and out as fast as that whole segue did. Oh my goodness. First of all, Giselle Shaw. Can we talk about how hilarious she is now? She's gotten funnier.
Giselle Shaw is a clown. And I loved her boots tonight. And I love how Madison Rayne was just in awe and in shock. Like, Masha Slamovic hasn't really been murdering the women's the knockouts division for 6 months. Like, why are you aghast, appalled, bewildered? She's literally rampaging through their division. So I don't know what she wants. Eventually she'll go after Jordan Grace, but I don't know. Something about Madison Rayne getting beat up is kind of funny to me. That makes sense in my fantasy.
So the intro, when I want to call them the Allure, they're not the Allure. I'm thinking of Ring of Honor. Mm-hmm. And anyway, different group entirely. The Influence, they're doing the pose, and Giselle Shaw is like, her back is to the audience, and she goes and does it after Madison Rayne and Tenille are like starting to walk down the ramp, and they're freaking out. And I love it. It's so stupid. They're too busy freaking out. Giselle's just like, I'm just happy to be here. And then Masha Slamovic beats the shit out of Tenille. Quick, easy job. And then she wants Giselle and Madison next. And like you said, that's going to be a squash. But this is the way to build Masha Slamovic up the card and inevitably have a title match against Jordan Grace. And this is the time to do it. I'm a big fan of it.
I wonder, even though Jordan just won, if she drops the title to Masha, she challenges within, if not an Emergence or the next pay-per-view. Because I know, like I said, I know Jordan just won it, but I love Jordan, but I would not be opposed to her dropping it to Masha, because strike while the iron is hot. Don't kill her momentum there and then want to try to visit it in 2-3 weeks. By then, it's kind of like,
We got a little bit of time until Jordan kind of clears her current schedule, right? Because she's got Mia Yim next.
Yeah,
that's her next big one. And then after that, I think there are maybe a few other women in line before Masha. If you do Masha, it could be as early as Bound for Glory. And I've said this before, you maybe at that point have Masha lose the match, because Jordan Grace is the veteran. She has the experience. She's been a champion. Masha hasn't. So then Masha has to go back and string up a bunch of wins, have a final boss moment, and then maybe go again for the Knockouts Championship and win. Or you can backdoor it somehow. She wins some sort of Money in the Bank-esque match and gets her title shot whenever she wants. That was the oh my God, call your shot gauntlet, which is normally reserved for the men. But if they do an intergender, Masha comes in, Masha wins it, then she can call her shot anytime and maybe beat Jordan Grace. And that's another way to do it.
I like your idea about her losing at like a Bound for Glory or losing the first time they meet. And then Masha just goes berserk. And then the next time, like within 2 weeks, or if they have like a big pay-per-view coming up that Saturday or Sunday, Masha, I'm not saying she should squash Jordan, but I'm saying that should definitely be a big meaty women, emphasis on the slapping meat. So I would love that.
For anyone, I see someone in the chat being like, I never hear anyone reference the Allure. Believe me, I don't either. But for some reason, I think Madison Rayne, I think of the Allure, and I really have to stop. So there you go.
I don't know who that is.
They were in Ring of Honor. There was a whole thing in Ring of Honor. It was their Mandy Leon and oh my God, what's her name? Angelina Love, I think. And Angelina Love once upon a time was in TNA, yada, yada, yada. That's probably where my brain goes. Anyway, let's move on. Backstage, Speedballs with Gia. I don't know if I said this last week, but it's absolutely in my notes. I said I wanted Diener to go for the X Division Championship.
I think you did say that last week.
If I did, awesome, because he's doing it. Speedball laid it out. The match is happening next week. It's the match I wanted. And while to me, the outcome is it's not in doubt. Like Speedball is going to win, but it plays up the Diener Violent by Design story even further. And Diener versus Speedball is going to be great because, again, both men know how to wrestle.
Absolutely. I also want to say that Speedball is so eloquent with the way he talks. It's very much calm before the storm. I love him as a babyface, but when he goes heel, that's gonna be next level. Because there's like, you can tell there's like a violent patience, and I love it. But when he goes heel, oh my God, I can't wait.
There's something to that. I haven't even thought about that yet because everyone's so enamored with Speedball right now. So there's a spot there.
Yeah, I think he's such a good talker as a babyface. He's very like relatable, passionate, but like a good person. But if he ever turned heel, I think I might have to hit you with my skateboard.
Hopefully yours isn't sawed in half and break early. Anyway,
let's pick it up again.
And just do it again. It's okay. Just do it again. That's how it works. Yeah, but Speedball and Diener, it's gonna happen next week. Looking forward to it, and it's a match that I want to see. Diener in the X Division. Great. Let's do that all day long. We go backstage still. Mickie is leaving the building. Gia Miller approaches Mickie James, says it's a disappointing loss. And then Mickie says, you're only as good as your last match. She's going to go home. Now, she then follows. She's wearing a beautiful Bobby Eaton t-shirt. And I was wondering, like, maybe there's something there because Bobby Eaton was born in Alabama. He died in Tennessee. I was like, maybe there's a connection, but they're not going anywhere near those places. So maybe it was just beautiful Bobby Eaton. She had the shirt. What do you think of Mickie James? Where's she going? Is she coming back anytime soon? What do you do with Mickie?
I don't know, because I would want Mickie to maybe take some time off and then come back. But maybe she's done now with the Purrazzo Green situation. And then where does Mickie then fall in the card? Is this a Havoc situation where it's a gimmick change? Is this just I'm frustrated? I don't really know what's going on. So I think that some time off would be okay. And then her coming back. But I don't know if this is, let me not say I don't know. I'm pretty sure she's done with Purrazzo and Green, which I like that. Yeah, it sucks she lost, but I like that it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I'm angry, but I'm going to eat this. But when I come back, if I come back, and if she doesn't come back and she takes a long extended time off and does come back, it's going to feel even more special considering how she left. Yeah,
no, I agree. And there's no NWA Empower, at least right now. They're not doing another all-women show that I can see, because they're promoting their next big anniversary show as a 2-night event. And last year it was 1 night, and then Empower was the night before. So I don't know what's going on there. Mickie James, I assume, is going to come back, but even if she just came in for a couple of weeks, it turned out pretty good. I mean, Yeah, she's always she's going to be one of those people who can just pop up anywhere at this point and always get a paycheck and always really do well. So I'm not against her going home for a little bit, letting everyone else who's coming up in the knockouts division have their shine, because God knows it's a deep division and there's a lot of space for it.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a wide breadth of talent in the Impact Women's Division. And I will say this, everywhere you can find me on social media, I've been saying this, that Impact, in my opinion, has the best representation and the deepest body of talent in all of your major North American markets. Like, the women here get the time, they're all good in their own right. Maybe what, 1-2 people, but even in their comedy role, much like Johnny Swinger, in your comedy role, you're still really good. You're still really, really good. And if you ever wanted to get like hard hitting, tough good, there's space for you to do so. Like, I've seen wrestlers grow in just the short time I've been watching. Like, even Giselle Shaw, like, her uppercuts are stiff, like Claudio stiff. So there is a place and a time for you to get all of that training in. So absolutely, I think her taking a break, then coming back, if there's someone who we're not looking out for, someone who's out for injury, Mickie James could help boost them up later on.
In the conversations I've had with other wrestling fans, other wrestling friends, I always bring up the fact that wrestling is at its best when the wrestlers who are playing characters understand that not everyone can be big, brooding, I love wrestling guy. Not everyone can be the Josh Alexander character. Some of the best characters are the ones who are playing characters and are being over the top and sometimes nonsensical. There's room for the technical, proficient, amazing wrestler who claws their way to the top, the journeyman, the everyman. But then there's always room for the big hoss guy or girl. There's always room for that person who is different and the character that fits the TV show, because at the end of the day, this is entertainment that we're talking about. It's athleticism, yes, but we have to be entertaining. And if there isn't an entertaining aspect to a character, or everyone is the same character, then it gets lost. And that's the one thing we talk about. Steve Macklin, he's come a long way, because when he came in, he got a little bit lost in the shuffle. And now, while he is still kind of brooding wrestling guy, he does it in a way that's there's more intensity in himself and his character. And whereas, say, Josh Alexander, his intensity comes from his wrestling style.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get it. And I think that even too, to Josh Alexander's credit, if you remember the North, I remember the North, him and Ethan Page were really good together. And I think that while Ethan Page in that particular group was the main talker, I don't think that's anything to take away from Josh Alexander. His wrestling style is big and imposing, but it's not big and imposing like Joe Doring's. You know, there's a way that everyone has separated themselves, because Trey Miguel's baby face in peril is not the same when Eddie Edwards is a baby face in peril. And Jordan Grace being big, tough, and burly is not the same as Havoc or Masha. So Impact is really good at having everyone set themselves apart. But like you said, if you get lost in the shuffle, if you can find a way to make yourself different, there is a way for you to shine.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get to the main event, I got to tell y'all, Fightful Select, if you haven't, get in there. If you want that good brothers contract news, baby, it's up there. Fightful Select. Sasha Banks, if you want to know her booking fee, buddy, it's up there. And when it's all there. Sean Ross Sapp breaking that news when Sasha was announced for C2E2 in Chicago in August. He got all the news. He was on vacation. He was breaking news. He was on vacation, and he still sat down with me, little old me, to have a nice chat on List Goes On this past Wednesday. Go check it out, FightfulSelect.com. It's worth it. It's easy. Get in there. All right. Next week, they've got 3 matches on the card. They got Mike Bailey versus Diener. We talked about that. They got Jordan Grace teaming up with Mia Yim. They're going to take on Deonna Purrazzo and Chelsea Green. Looking forward to that match. Of course, it's a little bit of a can they coexist with Grace and Yim. Whatever. They don't do it that often in Impact, so it's going to be, I'll give it that. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then Shelley and Sabin, #1 contender. I assume that's going to close out the show. It hasn't been announced on this particular card, but they're running Kushida versus Rich Swann, which shocked me. I didn't think that would be so that's going to be a part of the tapings this coming weekend. So that match will air. I don't know if that's going to be on next week's show. So they only announced 3 matches for next week because they haven't taped them yet. Therefore, they don't have everything, shored up. But Kushida versus Swan is a match that they've announced. That's out there. I'm not breaking any news. How do you feel knowing that Kushida's coming in for 2 nights, couple of shows? Does this match, does it speak to you? Is it something you're looking forward to? Is there something else you'd rather see Kushida doing? How you feeling?
I was first introduced to Kushida in NXT. And when I say he was criminally underused, he was criminally underused. Seeing him in New Japan, and then seeing him, my little brother showed me a video of him in Impact before. It's like, bro, how do you mess up Kushida? I'm excited because even though Kushida, I feel like, is your typical bam, bam, I'm fast, he's stiff. That man is stiff with 2 capital Fs. So no matter who he wrestles, and I like Rich Swann, but Rich Swann about to take a beating. And Rich Swann is no slouch, so I don't know who's going to win that, but Rich Swann about to take a beating no matter who wins.
That's the thing. I have a feeling that Kushida's going to win. That's fine. For me, I see it in the chat. People are mentioning the Time Splitters. That's Alex Shelley and Kushida's tag team from New Japan Pro Wrestling. They brought it back. They did 1 match in NXT together. I want to see them team up, and I also want to see a match between Kushida and Shelley. Like, I'd love to see that maybe at Emergence if they're gonna, bring him back for the Chicago shows. You know that Kushida's sticking around the U.S. He's gonna go between New Japan in the U.S. and also in Japan, which is fine. I'm just hoping that this 2-show announcement kind of gets stretched out into more, because I want to see some Time Splitter action with Kushida, Shelley, and all the other stuff. Motor City Time Splitter, as I see in the chat. That's a good idea.
What happens to Chris Sabin then?
Sabin gets the #1 contendership. He goes for the Impact title.
You're a wizard, buddy. Harry.
Come on, buddy. I know where I'm going here. And plus, Sabin versus Alexander. Listen, Shelley versus Alexander would be great too. Absolutely. But Sabin versus Alexander is also something that I think that's the first one I want to see.
Your wrestling uncle versus the world champion. Yo, Chris Sabin looks like everyone's wrestling uncle or the soccer dad who's like, don't make me beat you up, but he's actually like a 3-time black belt.
I'm seeing the chat. Thank you. You're right. I did see this. New Japan booked the Nashville show that's happening SummerSlam weekend. They did book Shelley and Kushida. I still want to see it in Impact. Or maybe Impact's going to run it. Maybe Impact will run it, even though if it's on Strong, then either way, it's good. Yeah, Sheldon Jackson with the super chat. Thank you, saying they're doing Kushida versus Shelley at New Japan Music City Mayhem in Nashville. I mean, listen, if you're going to Nashville for SummerSlam weekend, that show, the New Japan show and the GCW show, those are 2 shows you want to check out. And I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, Ric Flair's last match. Because again,
I heard the card is amazing.
Yes, Ric Flair's last match card is it's amazing until you get to Ric Flair's last match.
So you get to the last match of the last match card.
You know what? There are a bunch of people who are going to want to see that match. I'm sure whatever that match is when they announce it, I'm sure people are going to like it because from what I've heard, there's some good stuff coming into that. So either way, there's a lot of good stuff happening in Nashville. Maybe if SummerSlam itself isn't for you, but you happen to want to go to Nashville, there's so much good stuff going on. Or maybe you want to go, maybe you're going because of SummerSlam. There's a bunch of other stuff. But yes, Kushida and Shelley, it's happening. I would have loved to have seen it on Impact so that I could talk about it here on this show with you. But let's move on. Let's talk about that main event. Are you ready, Cresta?
I was born ready.
Really? You want to talk about Honor No More versus Bullet Club again?
Honestly, Impact, you did it again. Because I'm actually into Heath being the lethal injection of poison for Honor No More. He's coming in hot. This is the 2nd week in a row. He's like, I've fucking had it, and you're all gonna get it. And I am so happy for that. And I mean, like, hey, even if it turns into Eddie Edwards then being paranoid about Heath, and he's already paranoid about PCO, and now you paranoid about this person, and now you got to worry about Heath coming out. I'm here for it. It'll give Honor No More something to do. However, I'm tired of seeing Christopher Beethoven losing stuff. I'm tired of it. I'm mad. Somebody book this better. I'm throwing my book. I'm tired. I'm mad. I'm tired of seeing Chris Bay lose. Because every time he wins, y'all be giving him 2 losses back to back. It's a stand account and I'm angry. Tomato. I'm sorry, I have to get that off my chest. What did you think about it?
He didn't get pinned.
But it's not the point, Joel.
No, I fully understand. Listen, I agree with you. Heath taking out Vincent before the match, I thought that was hilarious, but I also think it makes Honor No More look like a bunch of bitches again.
As they should.
but then we get into like the match itself. Listen, the match is good because these guys know how to wrestle. That's fine. Ace of Bays, so Ace Austin, Chris Bay, and the Good Brothers taking on Taven, Bennett, King, and Edwards. There's a spot where Eddie Edwards, as we call him on the show, kicks Chris Bay in the face when Chris Bay is going for a springboard. Shit like that is just tremendous. I love it. Chris Bay, though, listen, so you mentioned that he lost the match. Yes, it's true, but he was also in the match. He was showcased in this match.
Whether he was getting worked over, like my favorite, I don't know why it's my favorite spot because I think it was really stupid. But when he went to go do the springboard off the bottom rope and they all grabbed his foot, I was like, that's so dumb. But honestly, yes, I would do the same. If I take out your legs, you Mr. Springboard, I like to do things. Nah, you can't walk, you can't fight.
So this is what I was alluding to earlier with the Chelsea Green and Mickie James match. I said this is a spot that I hate. So they go for the hot tag. Chris Bay is gonna do the hot tag, bringing Carl Anderson. The referee misses it because Honor No More distracts him. So then they swarm. Honor No More swarms him, and then while they're doing that, they do the fake tag in. Right. So referee assumes that Matt Taven tagged in and that it was legit. And this spot always bothers me. And I get that people are going to be like, oh, it's for the heat because the heels, they fake the tag. Well, at the same time, if the referee doesn't see the tag to the faces and it's in front of him and he doesn't see the tag that the heels make and he just says, oh, okay, it just makes the referee look stupid. And I've never liked that spot. And I never I understand what its use is, but I don't think it's a useful heat seeking spot. I think there are better spots to do. And I just don't like it. When they
for
do
all of that, hit the ref. Just hit the ref. They got 1 HP. I'd rather you hit the ref goes down, you cheat, and then like they always do, get the hell up, ref, and then you go make the pin. Because like you said, how do you not see what you see and then you don't? But okay,
but why are you taking the heels, the bad guys? Why are you taking their word over the good guys? That's always bugged me. Eventually, Chris Bay does make that hot tag to Carl Anderson, cleans house. They do the breakdown where everyone comes in and they hit their moves. And then big LG takes out Matt Taven. And then as they set up for the Magic Killer, Bennett distracts the referee. Maria low blows Gallows. And that's good payback because a few weeks back, we saw Maria get taken out by Mike Bennett after the whole Gallows thing. It was a really good just callback. They do the Boston Knee Party from Eddie Edwards, the Aurora Borealis from Matt Taven. Honor No More defeats Bullet Club. And more importantly, Cresta, we have tag title implications because the Good Brothers were pinned by Matt Taven.
Ooh, tomato.
No, this is good. The rudderlessness kind of goes to the side because now Honor No More are going to probably put together a tag team to go against the Good Brothers as early as Emergence. I don't want that tag team to be Edwards and Matt Taven. I want it to be the OGK. It has to be Taven and Bennett. But because Eddie Edwards got the first strike in and Taven got the final, I'm fearing that that's what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah. But I also feel like, and this is just my opinion, I feel like it's kind of where the angle of Honor No More is you're heading towards a breakup. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but that's what I'm getting. Like, you've got a lot of inner turmoil, a lot of people attacking from the outside. So why would you then put the belts on them to have a sense of contention? Okay, yes. But then to take it right off of them, for all of that, you could have put it on someone else. So yes, I guess.
Right. So next week when they're taping in Kentucky, you've got, are they going to go back in the footage and they're going to be like, Heath took out Vincent and that's why he wasn't at ringside with PCO? And then they're going to kick out PCO and Vincent from Honor No More. Are they going to eat each other out from the inside? That came out really, really wrong. But you know what I mean. Are they going to eat at each other? That doesn't sound any better. Either way, are they going to, let's take 3. Are they going to I don't know, be done with each other?
Eat
Are they gonna
themselves
break
from
up?
the tail like a snake. I got
Like
you,
a snake.
buddy.
Oh, that's thank you. That works. Eat each other from the outside like a snake. Nope, doesn't sound any better. Are they good?
No, eat each other from the tail, because that's what the snakes do. They eat the tail because they're so greedy, and then it's like, oh, it's me.
Are they gonna eat each other out from the ass? Is what we're asking here.
Yes, we eat it ass first. Thank you.
Okay, we're going ass first. Just making sure. This is where I tell you to leave a thumbs up. Anyway, I'm fine with the tag title implications. I don't know if they're gonna break them up that quickly now, but I want to know what they do with PCO and Vincent, because it feels like PCO at least has that babyface monster kind of vibe. So I want to know where they go with him.
I can see that. Very much early Kane after he broke away from Undertaker. It's like, yo, leave him alone. He just misunderstood. He's just crazy. So I could see it. And even if they do, let's say they put the tag team titles on Honor No More, and then Honor No More break up, like they kick out Taven and PCO, then you have Taven and PCO for the versus them for the titles. You do give them a little something to do. So even if they beat them and then go on to face like real competition, or FTR said, give me titles or something like that, you know, it'll make sense, you know?
Yeah, you mean Vincent and PCO, just to...
Yes, sorry, yes. What did I say? Did I say Bennett and PCO?
You said Taven and PCO.
Oh, no, Vincent. Sorry, wrong person.
Vincent and PCO get kicked out. What I would maybe try is you have Vincent and PCO get kicked out. You have Heath and Rhino come back, and then Vincent and PCO make a reluctant 4-man team to take on Honor No More's Edward Edwards, OGK, and Kenny King.
Chaos.
And out of that, you've got 4 teams that kind of break off and can eventually go for the tag titles, and it all ends with Heath and Rhino winning the tag titles. We're back to that.
Yes. Yes. No, honestly, Heath and Rhino, yes. But now that I said it out loud, like anywhere there's a tag team titles with the exception of the Fed, you got to worry about FTR, but like, yo, give me these titles. Stop playing with me. Like, so it's like, that'd be cool with Heath and Rhino winning. But what you gonna do when grumpy old man Dax is like, give me these titles. I'm gonna be entertained, but you're gonna get beat up.
All right, our final super chat of the night comes from Sheldon Jackson. Thank you. Says, thoughts on Josh Alexander versus Jacob Fatu for the Impact World Championship that's happening at Ric Flair's last match. Also, who do you think Heath hits with a wake-up call next from Honor No More? I'll ask you first, Cresta. What do you think? What do you think about Alexander and Fatu, and who is Heath going to hit next from Honor No More?
I want Jonathan Fatu to win. Not going to happen. But I know it's going to be, again, a stiff match with 2 Fs. So that's going to be good regardless. Honor No More, all tonight, I could have swore Heath took out Kenny King. And I was like, That was last week. See? Paying attention. And I wrote stuff down. Clearly, I didn't write that down. So I'm like, at this point, go for the nut check. Take out Maria Kanellis.
Damn.
Take out Maria Kanellis. But it's probably going to be Mike Bennett or Taven, because he hasn't gotten those 2 yet. No, he got Taven the week before.
I don't think he got Taven yet.
No, he got Vincent. He got Vincent tonight. King.
That's it.
So it would be Taven. I feel like it would be Taven next, because Eddie Edwards, I feel like, is going to be the last one. Yeah,
it's all leading to Edward Edwards versus Heath. And then I assume that's when Rhino comes back after Edwards beats the shit out of Heath. And then they all swarm Heath, and then Rhino comes back, and here we're back to square one. And there you go. So Rhino comes back, and it's Edward Edwards and the rest of Honor No More beating the shit out of Heath. Rhino's back, and then PCO and Vincent come in. Will they, won't they? And they join Heath and Rhino, because the enemy of my enemy is also my friend. And now we just put your 8-man tag together. Thank you.
I was going to say, wouldn't that be 5-on-4? But no, because PCO and Vincent would be out. It makes sense.
We evened it out. I'm excited for Alexander versus Fatu. I think it's going to be, like you said, stiff, hard-hitting, really fun match.
Yes.
I don't think Josh is going to drop the Impact title, but I mean, listen, Jacob Fatu coming in and suddenly joining Impact out of nowhere from MLW. would be nuts. I'd love to
Can
see
you
it.
imagine if he actually beat him? Can you imagine? Can you believe?
I'd love to see it. I'd love to. But also, come on. Josh Alexander's a fighting champion. Unless he's in a scooter race with Sean Ross Sapp, which, come on, Josh, what the hell, man? What was that? Go watch the interview.
Sean had 1 foot in the air. You can't, that's finesse.
Lost a damn shoe. I have to put that over now. I have to put over the fact that Sean Ross Sapp lost a damn shoe in a winning cause against the Impact World Champion. What the hell is this world coming to? That the Impact World Champion can't. Oh, God. Anyway, I think Heath takes Bennett out next because Bennett got involved with the finish tonight. He was the first guy involved in the finish. So he, therefore, is number 3 on that totem pole. Not Taven, not Edwards. King and Vinny have already been taken out, so I think it's going to be Bennett. If it's PCO, I would laugh my ass off, by the way.
PCO's just going to stand there like, me no feel pain.
Yeah, exactly. He just no-sells it. Like, you bitch. All right. I think we're done here. I think we got through it. Cresta, where can the people find you on the internet, and what's going on this week for you?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, first and foremost. Seeing you guys every week, blowing up these chats, make me and Team Joe Starr feel really important and really special. You can find me on all forms of social media, but most prevalently shitposting on Twitter at Cresta the Star. You see it down here at the bottom. And I have a link tree in my bio where you can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Twitch, Instagram. I tweet all the time. I post all the time. Joel, where can they find you?
Oh, I'm easy to find. I'm at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. What's going on this week? We've got the post SmackDown and Rampage show tomorrow, as our friend Kate Elizabeth will host. Sean Ross Sapp will not be there because, of course, he's too busy enjoying his Fridays off. Saturday's Grab City, right? How dare he have a life? Saturday, you got Grab City with the guys. They're going to have plenty to talk about, especially with the new AEW World Tag Team Champions being crowned. They'll get to that on Saturday. And, of course, just all the stuff. Go subscribe to Fightful Select. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary. Let's get out of here.